massive fire scars across the northern Australian savanna where people are no longer on country. The fire regimes we've inherited now are damaging the landscape quite extensively. It grieves me to see the damage being done to the country.
It's time we looked at trying to manage the national estate in a far more sustainable way.
I love my food outside the store, because I recognize the food that I leave on the land. If I don't have enough in the store, I know where to look for. See? This is my life. You know.
The whole concept of caring for country in the way that traditional societies do is bound up with this idea of putting something back. The concept is a much more sustainable model for developing the north of Australia than what we've used in the past. It's a model which is respectful of the native title that we have all through the north now. It's a model that can introduce a plant you want without altering the ecology of the landscape too much. This has got huge benefits for the carbon economy. I think it's more respectful of Aboriginal culture and it's better for the landscape.
The Aboriginals have actually undergone several different climatic phases with changes to the flora and fauna. With the extinction of the megafauna, the ancestors of Aboriginals managed the various flora regimes. The burning techniques kept open scrublands as parkland.
Northern Australia consisted of a patchwork of thousands of small burnt areas and unburnt areas, and it was very difficult for fire to escape as it does now into the landscape and create a raging inferno, because the areas that were actually burnt were relatively small in area. This new methodology called Savanna Enrichment is in some ways a return to the old ideas. Particularly in Northern Australia, has relied heavily on very disruptive irrigation schemes that are both costly and often uneconomic and do a lot of damage to the environment. This is a much more softly approach.
The whole north of Australia is potentially this great frontier for carbon farming. If we're going to establish this new patch, we put some cool fires through it for a few years previous. Then we get to the point we drag the sticks out and then we can run our slasher through, our retic. Bingo, we create the woodland. When they've burnt that with our students, they've gone in with the little backpack water things, so when the fires have tried to burn around the base of the tree, we've put them out at the base of the big trees. See the thick acacias at the back, 60, 70 metres in, and this side, it's more like your parkland, you know, the trees, the open country. See through it, walk through it, and that's your little pindan wattle or acacia. I look at that and think I've got to get in there, smash all them out.
The issue here is that we're doing what's called enrichment planting, where you put food trees that you want to bring into the environment amongst the pindan scrub that already exists, removing some of the acacias, which tends to dominate the environment if you don't control them. And so we're planting the gubinge and other fruit trees, but gubinge is the buzz, high vitamin C, high antioxidant plant.
Today we're just clearing up around the gubinge trees, acacia trees, because they grow really fast. Not only one grow, but a lot of them grow. So we have to get rid of them earlier, quicker, the sooner the better, yeah.
At 12 Mile we're replanting gubinge and other various native plants and just keeping all the acacia away from the gubinge, because they usually spread with the water near the gubinge.
This is an area where we're planting ebony wood, native ebony wood. The idea being to create a little ebony forest here. It's been a process over a couple of years and we've learned some hard lessons. Initially we had irrigation issues where we didn't have the area irrigated. Then we've got it irrigated. Plant at the beginning of the wet, like we're doing now. Also, if you use pots that encourage the roots to go down, that's very important. We need to create the microclimate as quickly as we can, so we want to plant it at a high density. So that's the desert yam called gundi, the bush potato. One of the most important bush foods for Aboriginal people. It was one of the ones they did a study on at the Botanical Gardens. But look, this is just a model, this is a trial that we look at and we learn from and go, okay, if we're going to upscale this or take it to a remote community, what are the lessons we've learned here that we can apply?
It's really good, this course. At least you're out in the country, you're not in town. So many young people today, going the opposite way. They forgot about what the elders told them, and working and getting your life back on track.
It's a good job. It's pretty relaxing. Not hard work, not really hard work. It's just enjoying, just enjoying planting and learning about different plants and how to set up reticulation and things about fertiliser and how to mix them.
You do see changes. I mean, you see the guys coming back and often you'll get to the point where people feel a sense of belonging here. And sometimes we get to the point where they have trouble leaving. What we're doing here is preserving the natural environment, it's part of the natural environment, and yet they're doing something that can create a living out of, hopefully. So that's the bigger picture, that we can create a model that's a commercially viable enterprise. So we're growing this high-value plants, we're creating carbon credits, and we're preserving the country. So we're doing all these things that people are happy about. It makes them feel good to be doing something like that. I guess you could say that the Kimberley Training Institute is taking this initiative to a new step, developing cultivation models. And it's not just a normal cultivation model, it's this Savanna Enrichment where we're working within the natural biodiversity and the natural ecosystem. We're creating natural trees in a natural environment where there's no use of chemicals. The little birds and the bees and the bugs and all those things are still here. And the trees are growing in such a way that they still have that high nutritional value. The amount of fruit we can get from wild harvest is limited, but through cultivation we can let this industry grow, we can engage young people, we can create opportunities for employment. I'll just introduce you first. James, this is Audrey, this is James Yanawana. James is a very good old friend of ours, he's the chairperson of the community in Midgetanga. Now Audrey's from America and she makes products for your skin. And Audrey's putting gubinge materials into her products and she's very keen to hear the story of gubinge and to hear what's happening here. And maybe that somehow is going to help us too.
Dermadoctor is in search across the globe to find the perfect ingredients for our formulations. This little wonder puts the super in superfruits. The gubinge, also known as the kakadu plum, contains the richest concentration of vitamin C on earth.
We say, gee, here's someone from America that thinks gubinge is great. That's good for us to hear and good for us to know, and also someone that's sensitive enough to know that you're engaging Indigenous people and you're sensitive to those issues, and that's what we want. So we've got a whole lot of different aspects to this story that we can thread together. And the more we thread it together, the more positive and exciting it becomes. And when you're sharing that with local people on remote communities and saying, well, look, you can be part of something and we can work together to create something, it's just a good thing.